Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. Over 2 years ago, I placed 3 different varieties of snake plant in one pot. Now I did that for a couple reasons. One, I wanted to downsize my collection, so combining plants just frees up a little bit more space. Now the second reason is I wanted a nice full pot like this. Now, as you can see, we've quickly run out of real estate. There is no more room for new growth. So I want to take it out of this pot, look at the roots, and pot it in something a little bit larger. So let's check it out. I honestly can't believe it's been 2 years since I placed these in the pot, and as you can see, everything is pretty squished. If this was a plastic nursery pot, it probably would have busted through the plastic, and even like a thinner terracotta pot, it probably would have cracked the pot, because as you can see, these plants are like right up against the edge, and here's a small one just trying to peek through just a small little sliver there. So it's clearly needing to be repotted. I'm just going to check the bottom here as well. It looks like I may have covered the drain hole with a rock, but a lot of times you'll see some roots poking out the bottom if it is root bound, but that's not a true indication whether it needs to be repotted or not. If you start to see roots at the top here as well, I'm seeing maybe a little bit right there, but it's definitely time to take this out and give it some new soil. Now, I find this one a fairly fast growing plant when you have it in sufficient light. I know these are marketed as low light plants, but if you put it in a bright location, it's going to be a fairly fast growing plant. This is where I keep the plant, and it's noon time right now, so it's 12 o'clock. The sun is right there. Probably got another hour or two before it kind of dips behind the window here. But I got my light meter. It is in a kind of a wide range of lighting, so you can see it's getting 1200 foot candles right there, which is really high. Come back to the back of the plant, it's only getting around 200 foot candles. Up in here it's pretty much high light, so it gets really good light in the morning. So it's just off to the side of a south facing window. This is a west facing wall. This is the southern sun. And then over here is the eastern morning light, which gets projected down into this area right here. I did pick out a pot that is slightly larger. So the first thing I'm going to do is obviously take this out of the pot. I'm not going to propagate this today, but I will definitely show how to do it. If you want to separate or divide the plant and make multiple plants from the one that you have, I'm simply going to keep it intact, put it in the pot, but I'm really curious as to what the roots look like. A good sign for any plant that is root bound and needs to be repotted is when you have to water it more than you normally would. So this one, it's in a really well draining soil, but this one I've noticed lately I've had to water it quite a bit more. So this is how I tell whether it needs to be watered or not. Pretty much at the base of the plant, you'll start to see a little bit of wrinkling right here. So this is how I know it needs to be watered. The soil is absolutely bone dry. So that is typically how I tell whether or not a snake plant needs to be watered. In the past, I have had to break pots, but I definitely don't want to break this one. This one is really, really good. It's got straight edges, and I should be able to just like pull the plant straight out. But the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of loosen it up around the sides here. Just gonna pull it in, just place my knife down the side, and then just go around the sides and just try. Oh yeah, that's roots. I'm just gonna loosen it up there. Okay, I got it to the point where I think I can just pull it out. So if you feel any resistance, stop pulling, but this one, okay, it's actually not terrible. Just before I pulled it out of the pot, I was thinking to myself, either it's gonna be like extremely root bound or it's gonna be okay. And it turns out it's just okay. So not actually a ton of roots, which is quite surprising. There's a little rock at the bottom. There is pretty much no more room for growth, so it still can be repotted for sure, but I'm just gonna kind of break away some of this stuff here, and I'll actually show you how to propagate this. So what you're looking for are these horizontal rhizomes. So it sprouts off from one plant and it produces a new offshoot like this. Now, before you start chopping or prying away, you want to make sure that the new plant, or the one that you're going to propagate, does have a sufficient root system. So when you take it off of the mother plant, it has a root system to absorb moisture and nutrients and continue to grow. I'm just going to dig back with my pencil here, exposing the root system. You can see this is where it connects to the mother plant. And now I'm simply going to take my scissors, cut close to the stem like that, and give it a good snip. And you have a separate plant that you can now put in its own pot, or you can put it back in this pot. I'm going to keep these all intact and attached. It definitely needs more space to push out new growth in the spring. So let's size it up and put it in this pot. The soil at the bottom is still a little bit damp, so I'm actually not going to water it. For the new pot, I just used strips of this drywall mesh, and I just lined the bottom like that, just so it covers the drain hole, so when I put the new soil in there, it just doesn't flow out the bottom. Looking at the soil that it's in, I'm thinking I used a succulent mix, and then I added some orchid bark and maybe some extra perlite in there. I'm just going to be using Miracle-Gro's cactus and succulent mix. I can still reuse this stuff here as well. So it's not like root bound, so it's not like entangling roots. So I'm actually going to leave the root system intact. If it was quite root bound, specifically at the bottom, then I would just loosen those roots before I put it in the new soil. But I think I'm just going to simply leave it as is and just literally plunk it in this pot. So there's pretty much two different types of soils that you can use. One is more of the peat-based soil mixture. This is Miracle-Gro's cactus, palm, and succulent. It is formulated for these types of plants. It has, like I said, a peat moss base, but they do add perlite and sand in there. And most commercial soils will add fertilizer in there. So I'm not too sure how long it will feed for, but I think typically it's around that 6 months. Now, this right here is the VeryPlants succulent and cactus mix. It is a nice gritty mixture. It's good for aeration, drainage, as well as it prevents soil compaction over time. That's typically what happens when you use a soil like this, is over time it gets quite hard and compact, and it can be difficult to kind of chip away if and when it comes time to repotting. So today I'm going to be using this. It's very cheap and affordable. I do have another bag upstairs in case I need it, but this one I like to use for my jades, my cactus, and yeah, other succulents. So this one, I just have this smaller bag, but I really like this brand. If you're interested in trying out VeryPlants succulent soil, I do have a discount code down in the description of the video here. Now, another brand I like to use, and it's a little bit more difficult to find, is ProMix's cactus and succulent. But this is what I have on hand today, so this is what I'll be using. I'm probably going to get a couple comments regarding the root system with this. If you pull your plant out and the root system looks like this, it's more than acceptable to leave it. Just put it back in its original pot, and then you can maybe take it out, look at the roots again, say in like 6 months. I have it out of the pot today. There's pretty much no more room in the original pot for new growth, so I'm going to place it in this larger pot. Now, I'm not concerned about root rot or anything like that with going quite a bit larger. It's quite a bit deeper, I should say. It's the appropriate size pot for the next size pot. But what I'm trying to get at is mine is in high light, so I'm not concerned about the risk of root rot or anything like that. So I keep an eye on how often I water it, and it gets good light, so I'm not concerned about any rotting issues. Now, if I had it in a north-facing window or something where it's getting low light, then definitely I would say hold off, keep it in its original pot, and then once you start to see some new growth popping through or squeezing through the sides, then maybe think about upsizing it. So I'm okay because it's getting good light, is what I'm trying to say. So now I'm just going to dump in a bit of soil just in the bottom here, just so those little mesh strips don't get dislodged. Now I'm just going to take this whole thing. Like I said, I'm going to keep it intact. I want to keep the leaves at relatively the same level as it was previously. I might add a little bit of fresh soil on top, but I want those roots to search on down to the bottom. So I'm going to add just a little bit more soil just on the bottom here, and then I will fill in the sides. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to be watering it today. I might water it in maybe like a week or so. I recently repotted my large jade in the Miracle-Gro cactus and succulent mixture, and it's doing just fine. If you're worried about drainage, then you can always add some extra perlite and that sort of thing in there as well. Now before I get going any further, I just want to show all the extra space along the edges in this pot. So quite a bit of room for those roots to expand, but also they have the ability to go deeper in the pot as well. So although it doesn't look like a massive upgrade, as it looks like still a nice full pot, there is quite a bit of room for the roots to go down as well as laterally. And here's my helpers for the day, fast asleep. I see this is Oscar. This is our newest addition. This is Taffy, and Pickles is upstairs. So she's having a nice little nap, hey? Yeah. She's pretty cute. She's only 7 months. Oscar, he tolerates her so much. So yeah, do you have your foot on his head? Hey, you always have to be touching. Hey, you're fast asleep. I'm gonna see if I can do this without making a huge mess, but I'm gonna dump in all the original soil in there as well. And I made a mess, but I need this tray like right here. I think I've only made maybe 3 videos on the snake plant on my channel, which is actually quite surprising because I did have a few other varieties in the past. The smaller bird's nest Sansevieria, it died. I downsized quite a bit, and that was one of them that I kind of let go. But now I wish I had it. So I'm just going to push the soil around on the edges here. Same with this, making sure everything just remains upright and it's not floppy. So I'm gonna have to add quite a bit more over here. This moonshine one right here is probably my favorite. It's just a nice mixture of kind of like a silvery white and then the green portion of the leaf. So I hope it gets new growth here in the springtime. So I'm just gonna pack all that down. Got a little bit of area to fill in right here. I don't think I'm gonna have to use the other bag, so I'm just gonna dump all that right in and just kind of squish it down. Now, since this does have fertilizer in it, I'm not going to fertilize it for probably for the next 6 months. Let's see. I don't know if it says if it's got how long the fertilizer lasts for. It's a very, very small amount, so it's not even like 0.1. So if this was like a 10-10-10 or like a 5-5-5, I'd be a little more cautious. But this thing, it's got like micronutrient or micro fertilizer, if anything. So just gonna dump that in. It doesn't even say fertilizer on here, I don't think. It just says enriched. Oh yeah, enriched with Miracle-Gro plant food. It doesn't say how long it lasts for, so I probably won't fertilize this till at least summer. Once you start to see some new growth, I'll probably put this outside, honestly, with my other cactus and succulents this summer, see how it does. So I will probably give it some fertilizer when I take it outside. Okay, the repotting is finished. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's actually a good size pot for this plant. Now, if you're finding that your plant isn't growing at all, then try throwing it in higher light. So just get yourself a light meter, put it in, I would say kind of that medium range, so around maybe 500-foot candles to start off with. If it's tolerating that bright light, then you can move it closer to a window, but they do really well in light. And just like with other cactus and succulents, they will thrive, just absolutely thrive in the summer heat as well. You want to make sure that you acclimate it to those conditions before you just throw it in the harsh sun. Otherwise, you're just going to cook it. So I think that's gonna be pretty much for this video. If you have any other comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Appreciate all the support. Take care, everyone. Bye.